In the last class, we had dealt with the oogenesis stages, right? So you had written the oogenesis stages completely. So did you write it down completely? Is the secondary oocyte plus polar body one. Then I told you that the secondary oocyte will stay arrested at again metaphase 2, right? And then if only fertilization happens, then only it will be able to enter the or cross the or overcome the metaphase 2 stage due to the fertilization by the sperm, and then second polar body will be formed, and the both the polar bodies will eventually get degenerated, right? So this was the main concept. So did you write till here, everyone? Did you write? Mansi, Hemantika, Supriya, yeah, you can unmute and say. Abhinav, till that portion, is it was it clear or any doubt till that portion? Any doubt till that portion? Anuj, you were saying something. Anamika, any doubt till that portion?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so let's proceed forward. So the questions that you will be asking yourself, okay, there are two, three questions here. Why does a diplotin arrest happen? It's question number one. See the look at the questions. I told you the diplotin arrest happens just after birth. Okay, and it breaks at puberty. Okay, so why does it happen? Why does the diplotin arrest occur? These are the kind of questions that you need to think of. Number one. Number two is how is it maintained? Till puberty means it breaks only at puberty, and after birth it starts. Okay. So suppose you are 2 day old, diplotin arrest has set in. It will break at 10 years or 11 years. Whenever you happen to get out of, or whenever you happen to attain puberty. The thing is the oocyte, okay, and its surrounding follicular cells. There is a specific histology, the oocyte and its surrounding follicular cells, that I told you last time, that there was difference between, and let's draw it again. Suppose this is the oocyte, okay, and these are the surrounding follicular cells, epithelial cuboidal cells only. They're known as the follicular cells. So this entire thing, okay, this entire thing is known as a primary follicle. And just before birth, what happens is, this is the oocyte. If there are no follicular cells present, that is the naked oogonium. Okay. But just before the birth, what happens is you have an incomplete layer of follicular cells like this, incomplete layer. So this follicle is known as primordial follicle. Our attention is on this one, primary follicles, right? The granulosa cells or the epithelial cells, okay, these ones, epithelial granulosa cells, okay. So these types of cells, they will do what? They are known for nutritive purposes. They provide nutrition. Okay, they provide nutrition as well as protection. Nutrition and protection to oocyte, primary oocyte. This one. Okay. Now, how does it do that? There should be some connection by which it is attached to the primary oocyte, right? So the oocyte and its surrounding follicular cells, they maintain an intimate structural and functional relationship. How? Through two types of, you can say, projections. Okay. One is known as a projection known as ATZP, another is MTZP. One is done by A means actin, M means, you can say, microtubule. So microtubule, I'll change the color and show you. Microtubule like this, and one is actin. So these are something known as F actin. So actin stands for A, so ATZP. TZP stands for transzonal protection. Okay, and this is microtubules MTZP. If you remember microtubule from class 11, alpha beta tubulin dimers. Okay, F actin is filamentous actin, polymerized actin, polymer of tubular actin, monomeric. So this is MTZP, means microtubule trans, you can say, zonal projections. These kinds of proteins, they hold on and they make the connection between the follicular cell and the primary oocyte. Okay, transzonal means this is like a trans means they're connecting two sites, right? You can say in the trans-Pacific pathway or the trans-Pacific canal, like that. So it connects the countries on this side and that side of the Pacific Ocean, like that. So it is a transzonal projection. So it connects the carosa cells to the primary oocyte. Now, is it clear till here? Any doubts? Till here, any doubt? Anyone?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, next concept will be the meiotic arrest at diplotin. How is it produced? Okay. The meiotic arrest at diplotin is the result of these interactions only, okay, between the follicular granular cells and the oocyte. Okay, understand one thing: the principal factor or the principal mechanism or the principal entity which maintains the meiotic arrest is what is high concentration of one molecule. One molecule only if it is asked in NEET examination. Who maintains meiotic arrest? Means diplotin arrest. If I write meiotic means it is getting arrested at diplotin due to the molecule known as cyclic AMP or CAMP. We have heard about this molecule in class 11. Okay, it is just cyclic AMP. You have ADP, ATP, AMP. When you cyclize AMP one more time, it becomes cyclic AMP. Okay, this molecule, if its concentration is high, what will happen? Meiotic arrest or diplotin arrest will be maintained. Okay. So neat question, just stick on cyclic AMP. Now let's get to how does it happen. Okay. So the oocyte and the follicular cells, understand the mechanism properly. Okay, I'll go very slow. The oocyte, okay, and the follicular cells both produce cyclic AMP. Okay, meaning that, just look here. This is the oocyte. This is the these are the follicular cells. These are the follicular cells. They are both producing, this one also are producing cyclic AMP. Both are producing, right? Now, the transport of cyclic AMP, okay, from the follicular cells to the oocytes also occur. How does it occur? Via gap junctions that I just showed you, transsolar projections. Those are known as gap junctions as well. One more protein is present in the gap junctions, that is known as the connexin protein. Okay, so there are another proteins which connect these two, that is known as a gap junction. Okay, specifically if you talk about gap junctions, contain a protein known as connexin. Okay, this protein is known as connexin, and this tunnel thus formed, which will transport, is known as connexon. Okay. This tunnel is connexon, and it's formed by the protein connexin. This is known as gap junction, which connects the two types of cells. Okay, these are all known as cell adhesion molecules. Cell to cell communication. Cell to cell adhesion means cell to cell stickiness, so that the cells do not move away from each other. They are helpful to maintain the communication between the two cell types. Okay, so that is how the CAMP produced here. Suppose this is producing CAMP, this will be transported to primary oocyte, because the CAMP produced in the follicular cells is much higher compared to the CAMP produced here. This is a low concentration by the primary oocyte, but CAMP produced by follicular cells, okay, is much higher compared to the CAMP produced by the oocyte. Oocyte produces low CAMP. You can see both produce CAMP, cyclic AMP, but follicular cells produce more CAMP. Oocyte, primary oocyte produces less CAMP. Okay. Now, is it clear till here? Any doubt? Abhinav, Ayushi, Anurag, any doubt? Anshika?
No, sir.
Okay. So now CAMP is getting in. One more mechanism is there. Okay. In the cell. In the cell, what you have is something known as, understand it very, very carefully, an enzyme. The primary oocytes or our cells also, we produce cyclic AMP, but that is also degraded in few seconds. Okay, there is an enzyme known as phosphodiesterase. Phosphodiesterase. Next neat question. If phosphodiesterase is present in the cell, which it is, cyclic AMP will be converted to AMP. And what will happen if cyclic AMP is converted to AMP? Will it arrest the cell in diplotin then? No, because who is arresting? Cyclic AMP, not AMP. So phosphodiesterase will convert cyclic AMP to AMP. In oocytes, the type of phosphodiesterase present is phosphodiesterase 3A, simply written as PDE3A. Okay, there are multiple types of phosphodiesterases, 5A, 2A, and all. So oocyte specific phosphodiesterase is phosphodiesterase 3A. Okay, so that converts cyclic AMP to AMP. Now, if it is AMP, then no diplotin arrest. AMP cannot cause diplotin arrest. Okay. Now, you need what? Who can tell me what do you need in this pathway, okay, to maintain diplotin arrest? Just a postulate. I'm not asking the name of a molecule. Which molecule you will inhibit to cause diplotin arrest in this entire biochemical cycle? Try to answer. Just take the name of the molecule which is written on the whiteboard that you need to inhibit to maintain diplotin arrest. You need to maintain this. What will you inhibit? It's written on the whiteboard only. Anurag, try. Prakriti, what will you inhibit? The answer is given on the whiteboard. Okay.
AMP.
You will inhibit this phosphodiesterase 3A, right? So that cyclic AMP cannot be converted to AMP. Getting my point? Understood? You need
Yes,
to
sir.
inhibit this one so that this molecule cannot convert this to this. If this is active, you will be make everything AMP. If this is AMP, there is no cyclic AMP because AMP has come from where? By a conversion of cyclic AMP. If there is AMP means no cyclic AMP. That is the meaning. No cyclic AMP means diplotin is gone, went to hell, right? You need to maintain. So inhibit this enzyme. Now, how does it get inhibited? Listen. We have something known as cyclic GMP as well. Okay. So in addition to cyclic AMP, the follicular cells, they also produce and transport into the oocyte cyclic GMP, cyclic guanosine monophosphate. So these follicular cells also transport into the oocyte what? Cyclic GMP, guanosine monophosphate. Okay. Cyclic GMP. And the cyclic GMP, which is transported from follicular cells to oocyte, it inhibits phosphodiesterase 3A. Okay, so it inhibits phosphodiesterase 3A. Cyclic GMP inhibits phosphodiesterase 3A. Always know the fact, right? So this will inhibit phosphodiesterase 3A. When it has inhibited phosphodiesterase 3A, what will happen is cyclic GMP will inhibit phosphodiesterase 3A. When it has inhibited, what will happen? Think. Cyclic AMP will stay as it is. Just hold on a minute, I think. This is this J5 prime is persistent, I think.
So,
Yeah. Ask.
Prashasti messaged me to inform you that
Yeah,
she
yeah.
is in
Yeah. The Galaxy J5. Okay. Yeah, she messaged me too. Got it. So what happens is this cyclic GMP will let it inhibit or will cause the inhibition of phosphodiesterase 3A. Okay, and then cyclic AMP concentration will not dip, it will not become AMP, and then diplotin arrest will be maintained. Okay, this is the entire system. Understood? Any problem here? You can write it down on your notebook. Okay, who inhibits phosphodiesterase 3A? Cyclic GMP. Cyclic GMP inhibits, thereby cyclic AMP doesn't get converted into AMP. Cyclic AMP inhibits or causes diplotin arrest. Now the question is, how does it cause diplotin arrest, cyclic AMP? So there is a factor known as MPF, okay, maturation promoting factor. Maturation promoting factor. MPF. This factor causes meiosis to occur. Okay. Meiosis to occur. cyclic AMP in high concentration will inhibit MPF. Thus, meiosis is arrested. That is why cyclic AMP concentration should be high in order to cause meiosis arrest or you can say meiosis arrest at diplotin stage. And this is the way that cyclic AMP concentration is maintained at high level. Okay, throughout puberty. Sorry, before puberty, just before you acquire puberty or attain puberty. Okay, is the pathway clear? Any kind of query? So, Sisti, I'll explain it to you again tomorrow. But any kind of query here? Any query?
Sir, can the recording of today?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. If you have any problem, you just look at it and then tell me. Okay, tomorrow. So,
Okay, sir.
Anamika, Abhinav, Anuj, Anshika, Prakriti, Hemantika, any problem today? Any problem in this?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is very, very important. I'll just repeat it in a revised way. This oocyte, this is the follicular cells. Both produce cyclic AMP, but the follicular cells produce more cyclic AMP. Okay. The cyclic AMP is sent to primary oocyte via the gap junction. Gap junctions are proteins which connect the oocyte to follicular cells made by the protein connexin. This tunnel is known as connexon. Now, cyclic AMP in high concentration will inhibit MPF. MPF, when it is inhibited, then this oocyte will be arrested at diplotin stage because MPF causes meiosis to occur, it is inhibited. Done. But the primary oocytes also contain this enzyme phosphodiesterase 3A. This converts cyclic AMP to AMP. If this gets converted to AMP, then diplotin has to be broken because CAMP inhibits MPF, not AMP, right? So what I need is, in order to maintain the meiotic arrest at diplotin, I need to maintain this concentration high. Means I need to inhibit this enzyme. Who will inhibit? Cyclic GMP, because the same follicular cells also secrete cyclic GMP, which reach primary oocyte, and cyclic GMP binds phosphodiesterase 3A. That is the beautiful mechanism. That is how the diplotin arrest is maintained. Okay, so 3-4 questions in NEET can come. What is the factor that causes meiosis to occur? MPF. What is the factor that causes diplotin arrest? Cyclic AMP. What is the enzyme that inactivates cyclic AMP? Phosphodiesterase 3A. Which factor inhibits phosphodiesterase 3A? Cyclic GMP. Okay, 4 questions. Okay, you can think of NEET level from this lecture. Okay. Now, question number 2 that I had asked you. Why in the first place do we, okay, why in the first place do we need to have diplotin arrest? Who can think and tell? Why do you need diplotin arrest? There must be some reason why diplotin arrest happens. Without reason, nothing happens. So why do you need diplotin arrest to occur? Think, anyone? Just you can guess also, no problem. Try to answer this question. Why do you even need diplotin arrest? Anurag, Abhinav, Anamika, try to answer. Anshika, why do you need diplotin arrest? Kriti, just come with a postulate, that's all. Why do you need? Any theory of your own? Diplotin arrest theory. No theory. See, what happens is the ovum is huge when it is released. And before implantation, means fertilization will happen, then it will divide rapidly, become blastocyst, blastocele, then it will become implanted. Okay, at the blastocyst stage. Now, those stages are before implantation, means after implantation, it can get nutrition from the endometrial layer, from the placenta. But when it becomes 8 cell, 16 cell, it has to provide nutrition to the entire zygote or to the developing embryo by itself. So diplotin arrest in puberty lets it accumulate a lot of mRNA and proteins so that it becomes ready for those events those events when I become 8 cell, 12 cell, 32 cell, that time I should be able to provide nutrition to all the cells. Okay, there should be enough mRNA, enough proteins. Okay, so that is the reason for diplotin arrest. Just think how clever our evolution is. Okay, that they are going for diplotin arrest at that stage. Okay, so just imagine how clever it is. Okay, understood till now why diplotin arrest happens? Okay, now many of the follicles, one question was asked by 2-3 students, Mansi and Avantika had also asked this question, that 2 million are present at birth, follicles, then 40,000 at puberty, then I said only 4 to 500. Okay, they are able to ovulate. What happens to the rest of the 39,500? Okay, so what happens is many of the primary follicles enlarge out of those 40,000. Okay, they enlarge by as much as 100-fold. Okay, due to the effect of FSH, LH. Okay, but many of them, means 39,500 in the girl's life, they undergo again death because they cannot express FSH receptor, okay, on their surface properly. They do not really become the last Graafian follicle. They reach the secondary follicular stage or secondary follicle stage, but they do not really become the tertiary or Graafian follicle, meaning that you reach this stage. Okay. First of all, you are at this stage, primary follicle. Okay. And if you have one more cell layer, then you become secondary. So you reach the secondary stage, but not the tertiary stage. That is what the problem is. This is secondary follicle, 2 granulosa cell layers. Okay, secondary follicle. This is 2 granulosa cell layers. So you reach this stage, but not any stage further. Only 4 to 500 follicles in the life, entire life, they reach the last stage known as Graafian follicle. Now what happens is there is a basement membrane, okay, which is known as, or which is called by the name of membrana granulosa, which surrounds the granulosa cells of the secondary follicle. Always know this. Now it will be surrounded by a basement membrane. This one. This is a basement membrane. Do any one of you know what is a basement membrane? Basement membrane only surrounds secondary follicle, not primary. Always remember for NEET. Secondary follicle. Okay. Secondary follicle. This is a secondary follicle. Does any one of you know what is basement membrane and what is the function of the basement membrane? From class 11th, if you remember. Anurag, what is basement membrane? Basement membrane connects. If you have forgotten, again recollect. Basement membrane is needed to provide connection between epithelial and connective tissue. Okay, made up of multiple proteins. It is always acellular, means no cell. Proteins like fibronectin, okay, nidogen, okay, vitronectin, collagen, okay, mostly type 4, elastin. These kinds of proteins are present in a basal membrane. If you go in detail, it has lamina lucida, lamina densa, all those layers are present in a basal membrane. The thing is, it connects epithelial to connective. Now, over where is the epithelial tissue? I told you these granulosa cells are all, both these granulosa cell layers, layer 1, layer 2. They are epithelial in nature. Fine. But where is the connective tissue? Do you see connective tissue here? Anyone? Do you see connective tissue? These two are epithelial, layer 1, layer 2. Both are epithelial. This is the primary oocyte. Where is the connective tissue? Do you see any connective tissue till now? Anyone? Do you see connective tissue? Anshika, do you see connective tissue here? Anyone? Just yes or no? Do you see? Use your eyes. Yes or no? Mansi, do you see connective tissue? Ayushi, do you see connective tissue? Avinav, do you see? Right. Persisted. Yes, you were saying something. Avinav, try. Do you see? Yes or no? That's all.
No, sir, I can't
Yeah,
see.
there is no connective tissue right now. Means if there is basal membrane, there has to be connective tissue. The connective tissue will come from where? It will come from the stromal layer of the ovary. Will send connective tissue. So there will be two layers of connective tissue. One layer is known as theca interna, the inner layer, this layer. This is the theca interna. Okay. Another layer, if I change color more, this is theca externa. This is theca externa. So that is known as connective tissue. Okay. So there are two layers of connective tissue. How many layers? Two layers. Layer 1, layer 2 of connective tissue. Known by the name internal layer. Layer number 1 is called theca interna. Layer number 2 is known as theca externa. Simple name, internal and external. These two layers come from the stromal layer of the ovary. Okay, the stromal layer of the ovary, and they coat the follicle from or on top of the basal membrane. Now, this is almost a Graafian follicle. Still, it has not become, but this is almost a Graafian follicle. Okay. Now you will see in the next class what happens when FSH and LH come and bind here. And do they really become Graafian or do they die? Okay. And how do they come out of the diplotin arrest at puberty? What happens? Okay. So that you will see tomorrow. Is it clear till now? Primary oocyte, layer 1 granulosa cell, layer 2 granulosa cells, these two are epithelial, then membrana granulosa, then layer 1 theca interna, layer 2 theca externa, both these are connective. This is the actual tertiary follicle you can think of. Okay. Any doubt, anyone? You can ask. Prakriti, any doubt? Avantika, Mansi, any doubt, anyone? Harshvardhan, any doubt? Anshika?
No, sir.
Okay. Just revise it again. Okay. I'll send the recording. Okay. I'll share the link also of the recording and okay there. Okay. Thank you.